Hello whiskey lovers and welcome to another one of Mark's Whiskey Ramblings. I have to be quiet because I think any moment now an Ewok might jump out of the trees or an Imperial speeder bike might cross me by. This really looks and feels like the forest moon of Endor. I'm not sure if there's any Star Wars fans watching here, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, Return of the Jedi. But no, I'm actually in the Keigartbos in Ussel in Belgium. Weird name, but there you have it. It's really a nice nature walk. But the funny thing about one of these nature's walks is that there's always a reward at the end, and the reward is always in liquid form, and in this case, it's another whiskey. But this one is the Three Ships 12 years old, which is actually a South African single malt. South Africa, single malt, who'da thunk? Anyway, this is from the James Sedgwick distillery from the Distell group. Now, Distell bottles at 46.3% ABV, and that might ring a bell. If you don't know Distell Group, they not only have these single malts from South Africa, but they are also the owners of that triumvirate of single malts in Scotland. You've got Deanton, they've got Tobermory / Ledaig, and you've got Bunnahabhain, and they bottle all of their single malts at 46.3% ABV. And if you're wondering why, that's simply because then they do not have to use chill filtration. There you have it. So they can offer their single malts in its natural form. And 46.3, in my opinion, is quite a good strength. Anyway, what we have here is the flagship of the James Sedgwick distillery, a single malt from South Africa named Three Ships. Why? Well, because when James Sedgwick, who was a merchant captain, arrived in South Africa, he came with 3 ships. But he fell in love with the country and he decided to stay and build a distillery. Now, not only does the James Sedgwick distillery make this single malt, they also have a single grain whiskey. You might have heard of it. It's called the Bain Cape Mountain Grain Whiskey. That's also same as Sedgwick. But what we will be trying today is their flagship. See what I did there? Their flagship release, this Three Ships single malt from South Africa, the Master Distiller's Private Collection, whatever that means. Right, okay. So this is the one we will be trying today. It's got this beautiful, beautiful golden sheen, bright golden, and it is bottled, like I said, at 46.3% ABV on the nose. Well, it's a fresh and fruity nose, in fact, a bit candy-like, but there is this lovely smokiness on top. Oh yes, this definitely contains peated malt, and in fact the peated malt is imported from Scotland. And it is 30 ppm, but it's a mix of 30 ppm malted barley, peated from Scotland, and their own. There is a hint of orange peel, and there's even a light scent of stables, and then lots of orchard fruit, all kinds of berries, but this is very, very pleasant indeed on the palate. Wood dominates on the palate, but it definitely does not become oaky. Don't get me wrong. I get syrup. I get maple syrup, which is followed by some honey and vanilla, and then immediately the peat smoke is there, and it's a lot bigger than you would have expected from the nose. It gives this South African single malt both weight and width, if you know what I mean. It gives it some depth. It's really quite lovely, and it's completely different from an Islay whiskey. Oh, this is quite nice actually. Some green and earthy notes as well, and then some dried apricots, and wonderful and rather unexpected salty note appears towards the end. But that's soon swamped by this fresh touch of lemon zest. This is actually quite good and very well balanced on the finish then. That's actually quite long, a bit feisty, smoky and sweet on lemon zest at the death. Well, Moenie worry nie is South African, don't worry, be happy. And if you have this South African single malt in your cupboard, then Moenie worry nie becomes a slogan, because this is actually a lovely, slightly peated South African single malt, 12 years old, beautiful. And that's all for this Whiskey Rambling, and I hope to see you at one of Mark's Whiskey Ramblings real soon. And until then, may the malt be with you. Bye-bye.